so welcome to my final thoughts on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. My journey is over now. It is over, and I'm going to explain what that thumbnail is all about. I'm really going to get into it, and I also want to say this is a non-spoilers kind of review of the game. I'm only going to show my character about halfway through the game. I'm not going to show any bosses or any spoiler stuff, just running around in the world. And yes, let's go back to the beginning for this one. It's crazy. It's over for me now. It's crazy. I don't think the game is ever truly over. There's so much stuff to explore. But here we go. Back to the beginning. I gave some first thoughts on the game. And I talked about how I was having a great amount of fun. And I was. I really, really was. I was enjoying the puzzles. Everything was really interesting. The game was overwhelming. But here we go. From that first thoughts, a couple of days in, I'm going to say something that maybe a lot of players can understand as well. You'll get it. I was losing my mind for about 2 days. I was really agitated. I was really angry. And I was really, really frustrated. I have to get that out there. Because after the initial fun of playing the game that I had, when I got into the main game, for 2 days, I was running around in the world, exploring, and I wasn't having fun. And the reason why I wasn't having fun is because I wasn't getting anywhere. I wasn't getting anywhere. I was getting into a shrine, and I'm like, how do you do this shrine? I'm like, I'll come back to this shrine. I'll come back to this later. And I just felt within 2 days I was doing a lot of exploring, but I wasn't progressing the game at all. And I was getting very, very frustrated at myself. Not the game, but myself. And I'm like, John, like, come on. I mean, you know, in the original Breath of the Wild, the game was massive. And I had the same similar moment where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But it was more of a funny moment. Where this was more, I felt the weight of the game on top of me. And I'm there to have a good time. And I'm telling you, running around, exploring, all that, I was having a good time. But it was too much. The game was too much. And the game is too much. But hear me out. 2 days in, I'm like, I haven't done anything in this game. And I'd spent like 20 plus hours at this point. I'm like, I haven't done anything. I collected a bunch of items and things like that. I've got decent weapons. Not really. I didn't have anything really, really good. I was like, everything's okay that I have. And then I was like, I looked at the game like as something to break down. I was like, the way I'm going right now, I'm just kind of exploring and going willy-nilly off into the world, and I'm not doing anything. We need to break this down in a way that I can systematically get through the game in a way that I feel like I'm not wasting my time. So what I started to do, it was the smartest thing in the world for me. It was the smartest thing in the world. I started to do nothing but shrines. And I started to do those, and 4 at a time, you get a heart container. I just kept doing another 4, another 4, another 4. Hey, I see one in the distance. My job would be to get to that shrine. And I ended up doing most of the shrines, not all. There's still some out there because there's so many shrines. But what happened at that point is I built up my hearts, and I started to have a little bit easier time going into some dungeons, going into some areas that I shouldn't be in, and I could kind of survive a little bit. I was like, oh, okay. And at that point, I started to get somewhere, and I started to get ahead. And I've got to say that I still agree with myself. The game is overwhelming, and I know there's so many players that are coming into this game going, oh my God, I don't have the time for this. You do. You just got to keep at it. You'll hit a point. It's a strange game. The game is like so overwhelming, and you'll get mad or whatever, like I did, and then all of a sudden you'll see your direction and how to get through it. You go, oh, I'm making progress this way, and I can do this. And before you know it, you start adding to that, and then you start getting your horse, and then you start getting really better weapons, and then you start figuring out the strategies of the game, because the game is showing you all these brand new things that you can do. So we had Breath of the Wild, which was this huge exploration game that was massive. That was like a shocker, where they take that game, they give it to you again, add a bunch more stuff, and then on top of that, add all these physical layers of all these, items and things that you can assemble to do numerous, almost an infinite amount of things. Your imagination is the only thing that will stop you. And it's overwhelming. And you're like, but when you start finding your way through the game, you go, okay, I don't have to create the most craziest things ever. I can structurally just get my way through it simplistically. You can do it simply. And that's what I want to say. I went in and I let the weight of the game overtake me and make me frustrated. And I think a lot of players can come in and feel that way, where you have to grab the game by the balls, no pun intended, and work your way through it and figure your own direction out. What somebody else has done is not your way. You've got to find your own way. And I think that's what it is. It just throws you in and says, okay, figure it out. And you're like, no, I'm lost, and then slowly but surely you get better at the game. And then you start building on it. And then you start getting somewhere. And then you get a dungeon done. And then you do another dungeon. Then you explore this and you find this item. And then all of a sudden oh my God, I've got this and I got this. Oh, my weapons, I understand how to create really good weapons. All of a sudden you're having a great amount of fun. And I'll be the first to say, when I started this game, I was the first to say that I was defending the breakable weapons. I was like, breakable weapons are cool. When I started this game, it was my first 2 days, I was frustrated. I was like, I'd make a great weapon and it would last 10 hits, it was gone. I'm like, oh my God, I don't like breakable weapons. Later on, you start figuring it out systematically. You start making great weapons all of the time. And all of that. Now let's just talk about something here. Let's talk about the music. Let's just get that out of the way. The music is the same as Breath of the Wild in that it's there subtly, very subtly, and it's not there appropriately. And that's what I love about the soundtrack of this game. You're going through the field, and this piano just playing just gently, and then it disappears as you get to a new place, and you just feel the ambience of that new area. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. And I know we come from Zelda games that had great, orchestrated soundtracks that we really love, iconic songs. This has iconic songs as well, but they're very subtle and very different. Yes, I'm hoping in the future Zelda games we get back to some of those classic Zelda songs and stuff like that, but they have not done anything terrible here. What they have done is beautiful. They've layered the entire game with a beautiful soundtrack that is exactly where it needs to be at all times. I can't believe they did it. It really, really works. And I complained about the visuals. I said that the visuals are good, but they're not great. I still stand behind that, but I will say the more I got into the game, the more I was very impressed with what they've done. And I'll save that till the end, but I'll say that the graphics are very good. And yes, it's on 6-year-old hardware now on the Switch, and what they've done with the hardware, it's remarkable. It's remarkable. When I'm jumping off a tower, going down, mapping out the world, and I can go here, go there in the air, I'm like, okay, this is pretty amazing. Or if you're in an underground cavern, so many magical moments. I'm going to leave that to the end, my real final thoughts on it. But graphics are good. I think they're some of the best that they can be on Switch. There we go with that. The gameplay speaks for itself. I mean, I've never seen a game like this in my life. And I've never played a game like this in my life. Not like this. Not like this. I am so fundamentally blown away by the game. And yes, I've been frustrated at dungeons and things like that. Yes, I have been. But you know what? When you figure it out, I've never felt a bigger sense of accomplishment in my life. There were some things that I figured out in this game that I couldn't even believe that I could do. I was like, maybe I'll take my glider and go, oh, I can. There is something under here. And I'm like mind blown. And I probably had hundreds of those moments. Okay. Yes, I mean, the gameplay alone, I could make a 4-hour video talking about everything you can do in this game and how brilliant it is. All the things you can do in the shrine. The shrines are really good. They really warm you up into how to negotiate the world and do certain things with all these items they give you. So they play with you in the shrines a little bit. And then you're in the real world. You're like, hey, I remember doing that in the shrine. I could do that. And you start getting vastly creative. Now listen, I never made robots like some people have made in some of these games. but I made some kind of cool devices and I was able to get around quite well. But gameplay wise, I'm going to say this. I don't think I've ever played a game that has pushed me to my limits like this game has, with everything that you could do within it. And I'm going to say something. I've never played a game this profound. This profound. It is remarkable what they've done. They've mixed challenge and wonder and charisma and love together in a way that I didn't even think was possible. It is the most remarkable Zelda game ever made. It is the best video game on Switch ever. I mean, there's some great games on Switch, but this game just tops it all. You know, it's like the great piece of cake with the cherry on top, but Zelda is another cherry on top and another cherry on top and another cherry on top. They never stop. They never stop with the layers of this game. The puzzles, the wonder of it. I cannot believe, I said it with the first game, I cannot believe Nintendo and human beings made this game. It was almost made by a super high AI that it was taking all the bits of the old games and combining them to make this brand new game and make a game that's great for everybody and then some. They've done it. They've done it. Nintendo has absolutely blown me away with this game. It's remarkable. I've never played a game like it. I don't know how they will ever top it. I remember saying with Mario Kart, I don't know how you're going to top Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because it's such a good game. How are you gonna surpass Tears of the Kingdom? How is that even humanly possible? I don't know. And thank God it's not my job to figure it out. Somebody's got to figure it out there at Nintendo, and they're probably already starting on it for their next generation console. Okay, I've got to say, how is it compared to Breath of the Wild? Well, I'm not going to do a comparison. Breath of the Wild is my favorite game of all time. Where does Tears of the Kingdom rank in that? Breath of the Wild did things that I'd never seen before. It was a breath of fresh air, no pun intended, that I went into the game. I'd never played an open world game quite the same with the physics and all that and the exploration and the charm. I'd never seen anything like it. And so it had a real impact on me 6 years ago. Now we're 6 years later. I know what to expect walking into Tears of the Kingdom. Yes, it added a whole bunch of extra things on there, but Breath of the Wild is still my favorite game of all time. But Tears of the Kingdom is a 10 out of 10 game. I understand that now. When the first bunch of hours I was playing it, I was like, 10 out of 10, really, guys? Really? Because the game has frame rate drops, like, it happens quite a bit. There's pop-up. I'm chasing enemies. Sometimes they just disappear. You know, sometimes it just happens. But overall, the size of the world and the scope of the world, what they were able to do without breaking it and making it like a, you know, having 1,000 glitches in it. Yes, I know there's things getting patched. I get that. But overall, I can't believe how well it's put together. I can't believe this game was made. I can't believe it. And when I was running around, I felt emotions that I've never felt in a video game before. Emotions. It brought an emotional response out of me. The sense of sometimes running around the world and seeing like a small cave and going, I'll go in here. And water's dripping from the ceiling. There's insects. There's water in there. Moss is on the wall. And you're there and you're in the middle of nowhere and you have your weapons. You're like, is this enough? Where am I going? And you go all the way down to the bottom and you'll fight something like crazy or something like that. Or you won't. The sense of exploration and adventure, I've never felt it like I have in this game. And I played them all. I played every Zelda game. I played pretty much every open world game known to mankind because I love this stuff. I've always been looking for that adventure because I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons guy. So I'm always been looking for it. This game provided it in a way that was profound, in a way that it was unexpected, in a way that I could never have imagined. And yes, I was very frustrated in the beginning. But I think it also makes sense when you're thrown into the world and you're like, what is my place in the world? The game is so big. The game is so massively big that I will still be exploring it. There's still things I want to go and do. even though I built up my character, I'm pretty strong now in the game, but there's still things I want to go do that I wonder, I'm like, hey, can I take that on? You know, it's pretty remarkable. I'll ask you guys, what do you think of Tears of the Kingdom? Were you frustrated like me? Is it just me? You have to let me know. That is for sure. But I want to come in here today and give my final thoughts. And I could honestly sit here for hours just talking about the moments I had in the game. Some of the frustration I had in the game. Jumping from ledge to ledge to ledge to ledge, getting there. And then like getting stuck and going, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I'd be angry at myself for sometimes not figuring it out. Remarkable stuff. Remarkable stuff. What do you guys think of Tears of the Kingdom? It has honestly blown my mind. And right now, easy game of the year. Easy. I was thinking about it this morning. I'm like, all the games that come out this year. And let me tell you, there's been some great ones coming out so far. And I'm like, Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, I could go on and on and on about the different environments, riding your horse and the freedom and exploring new areas, unlocking all of the maps, you know, through the towers, and some of the mysteries and things that are hidden within this game are nothing short of brilliance and all of that. And I want to come in and just talk about my experiences playing it, because I'm absolutely taken back by the entire experience. And yes, I was frustrated, but that frustration became fulfillment. And that's something that I definitely got out of this game. And Nintendo knocked it out of the park. And I don't know how they're going to outdo this in the future. Sure, better graphics, but the amount of work put into this, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to get past it. So, guys, that is my final thoughts. I can't believe I'm here saying this. My final thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom. I have a small tear. I do. A game long in development, long in anticipation, and they absolutely nailed it. So, anyways, guys, until next time.